Erich von Manstein was one of the most important German military leaders of the Second World War. He was born in 1887 in Berlin, into a family with a long tradition of service in the Prussian army. His birth name was Fritz Erich von Lewinsky, but he was adopted by his aunt and uncle, the von Manstein family, and later took their name. From an early age, he grew up in a world shaped by discipline, duty, and military values. Many members of his family had served as officers, and a career in the army was seen as a natural path for him. Manstein entered the Prussian army as a young man before the First World War. He was trained as an officer and showed strong abilities in planning and organization rather than in dramatic battlefield leadership. When the First World War began, he served mainly on staff positions rather than at the front. This experience shaped his way of thinking about war. He learned to see large battles as complex systems involving movement, supply, and timing. By the end of the war, Germany was defeated, and the old Imperial Army was largely dissolved, but Manstein was one of the officers allowed to remain in the much smaller post-war force known as the Reichswehr. During the years between the wars, Manstein continued to develop his reputation as a gifted military thinker. Germany was restricted by the Treaty of Versailles and could not openly prepare for large-scale war, but the army quietly studied new ideas. Manstein became part of a group of officers who believed that future wars would be decided by speed, surprise, and coordination between different branches of the military. He worked closely with other officers who later became famous, including Heinz Guderian. Manstein supported the development of armored forces and the idea of rapid movement to break through enemy lines. When Adolf Hitler came to power in the 1930s, the German army expanded rapidly. Manstein rose through the ranks and was given important staff roles. One of his most significant contributions came in the planning of the invasion of France in 1940. Early German plans followed traditional ideas and expected a long and difficult campaign. Manstein proposed a bold alternative. He suggested sending armored forces through the Ardennes forest, an area the Allies believed was unsuitable for tanks, and then driving rapidly to the English Channel. This plan aimed to surround and destroy the main Allied armies in Belgium and northern France. After much debate, the plan was accepted and proved highly successful. The fall of France made Manstein one of the most respected generals in Germany. After the victory in the West, Manstein was given field command. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941, he led a corps and later an army on the southern part of the Eastern Front. The fighting in the East was brutal, and on a scale far larger than anything Germany had faced before. Manstein showed skill in mobile defense and counterattack. He often argued that flexible movement was more important than holding ground at all costs. This brought him into conflict with Hitler, who increasingly demanded that positions be held no matter the situation. One of Manstein's major moments came during the campaign in southern Russia and Ukraine. He played a key role in the capture of Crimea and the siege of the port city of Sevastopol, which fell after heavy fighting in 1942. For this success, he was promoted to field marshal. However, the overall situation on the Eastern Front soon turned against Germany. The defeat at Stalingrad marked a major turning point. Manstein was given command of Army Group South and attempted to restore the situation through counterattacks. In early 1943, Manstein achieved one of his most famous successes during the Battle for Kharkov. Using mobile armored units, he launched a counter-offensive that recaptured the city and inflicted heavy losses on Soviet forces. This operation is often praised as an example of operational skill, showing how careful timing and movement could defeat a numerically superior enemy. Despite this success, Germany no longer had the strength to regain the initiative for long. As the war continued, Manstein's disagreements with Hitler became more serious. Manstein believed that strategic withdrawals were sometimes necessary to save forces and shorten the front. Hitler, however, feared that any retreat would lead to collapse. These conflicts led to Manstein's removal from command in 1944. He was never again given an active field role for the remainder of the war. The conduct of the war in the East also involved severe crimes against civilians and prisoners. Manstein operated in areas where mass killings and harsh occupation policies took place. After the war, his responsibility for these events became a subject of debate. While Manstein later claimed that he focused only on military matters, historians have shown that the army and other German organizations often worked together and that senior commanders were aware of many crimes committed in their areas of command. After Germany defeat in 1945, Manstein was captured by British forces. In 1949, he was put on trial in a British military court. He was charged with war crimes related to the treatment of civilians and prisoners of war. Manstein was convicted on several counts and sentenced to prison, though he served only part of his sentence due to health reasons and political considerations during the early Cold War. Following his release, Manstein became involved in discussions about the rearmament of West Germany. His experience was valued by Western leaders who were concerned about the threat from the Soviet Union. He advised on the creation of a new German army, which later became the Bundeswehr. During this time, Manstein also wrote a book about his wartime experiences. In it, he focused on military operations and defended his decisions, contributing to a view of the German army as separate from the crimes of the Nazi regime. Manstein died in 1973. His legacy remains complex and controversial. On one hand, he is often regarded as one of the most capable German commanders of the Second World War, known for his operational skill and innovative thinking. On the other hand, his role as a senior commander in a war of aggression and in occupied territories links him to a system responsible for immense suffering. Understanding Manstein requires seeing both aspects together. He was a talented soldier shaped by the traditions of the Prussian army, but he also served a regime that carried out widespread violence and destruction. His life reflects both the strengths and the moral failures of the military culture from which he came.